Hey folks, Bennett Tanton here, welcoming you back to Full Spectrum Frontiers. Today, we're diving into something a bit different, but crucial to understanding the full spectrum of conflict, security, and society's future, the rise of sustainable cities. And no, this isn't just about planting trees on skyscrapers and calling it a day. Across the globe, cities are transforming into beacons of sustainable innovation, from smarter transportation that almost drives itself to energy grids that power our lives without draining the planet. Urban areas are reimagining what it means to be truly livable and resilient. This shift is real. It's happening fast, and whether you live in a big city or a small town, it's going to impact you. So, here's the question. How do these sustainable urban innovations fit into the bigger picture of conflict and national security? Well, think about it. Resources are power, and cities that manage their resources wisely are stronger and less vulnerable. It's not just good for the environment, it's a defensive move. More self-sufficient cities mean less reliance on volatile resources and less strain on global infrastructure. This is big, folks. Today, I'll break down the essential ways sustainable cities are shaping up. We'll cover the transportation tech reshaping, how we get around, new energy solutions powering urban centers without wrecking the planet, and even how data is driving city planning to maximize livability and efficiency. But we'll also address the flip side, the challenges that come with such rapid change and what happens to those left behind in the rush. Now, before we get rolling, just a reminder, if you're digging the podcast, hit that like button, share it with a friend, and hey, drop a review. Your support helps us keep this mission going. All right, ready to dive into the cities of tomorrow? Let's get started. Let's get right to the heart of it. Why are we suddenly so focused on sustainable cities? After all, cities have been around for thousands of years, and let's be honest, sustainability wasn't exactly on the minds of the folks building Rome. So what's changed? Let's start with the basics. Right now, more than half of the world's population lives in urban areas, and that number is only going up. By 2050, an estimated 68% of people will be city dwellers. Think about that. More people, more infrastructure, more energy use, and more strain on resources. With so many people living in such concentrated areas, cities are facing unique pressures to make smarter choices about how they operate. But it's not just population growth driving this push, it's climate too. We're facing a climate crisis. And for cities, which consume over 2/3 of the world's energy and account for more than 70% of global CO2 emissions, the stakes couldn't be higher. If cities don't adapt, they'll buckle under the weight of their own impact. Rising temperatures, extreme weather events, and dwindling resources will hit cities hardest. So, the solution? Cities have to innovate, and they have to do it fast. And here's where it gets interesting. Sustainable cities aren't just about environmental protection, they're about resilience. Think of a sustainable city as a fortress. It's prepared for whatever gets thrown its way. From hurricanes to heat waves, sustainable urban centers are designed to weather the storm, literally and figuratively. And when we talk about national security, there's a huge tie-in here. A resilient city is a stable city, and a stable city is less likely to face the kinds of crises that create vulnerabilities in national security. Cities that can handle their own resources, protect their people, and adapt to change are power players on the global stage. In this episode, we're also going to touch on the socioeconomic impact of these shifts. Sure, the idea of eco-friendly skyscrapers and self-sustaining neighborhoods sounds great, but who really benefits? Often, it's the wealthier areas getting the green makeover, while poorer neighborhoods are left behind. So while sustainable innovation is crucial, it's equally important to make sure these solutions are equitable, accessible, and beneficial for everyone, not just the ones who can afford a Tesla. And here's the last piece of the why now puzzle: technology. We've reached a point where technology can finally meet the needs of sustainable urban development. The tools, the data, and the know-how are all there. Cities have access to real-time data, allowing them to monitor and respond to everything from traffic congestion to air quality. They can implement smart grids that know how to conserve energy and deploy transportation systems that reduce emissions. We're living in an era where the tech is finally catching up with the need, and that convergence is driving this entire movement. So why now? Because we have to. The challenges of population growth, climate change, and economic inequality are all colliding at once. And with the tech to address these issues at our fingertips, cities have the opportunity to redefine what it means to be sustainable, resilient, and even secure. All right, let's talk about transportation. One of the biggest hurdles in creating a sustainable city, and probably one of the biggest headaches for urban dwellers everywhere. Picture this. You're in a city where traffic lights adjust automatically to reduce congestion, where buses and trains run on clean energy, and where your car might drive you home without you lifting a finger. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, that dream is becoming a reality, and it's fundamentally changing how cities function. Why start with transportation? Simple. Transportation isn't just about getting people from point A to point B. It's the lifeblood of a city's economy and the pulse of its day-to-day life. The more efficient it is, the more time people save, the less pollution they produce, and the less stress they experience. But traditional transportation is a massive resource hog. And if we're serious about sustainability, we need to get smarter about how we move. Enter smart transportation, self-regulating traffic systems. Let's start with traffic systems. Imagine a grid where traffic lights aren't just running on a timer, but actually communicating with each other. They're adjusting based on real-time conditions, sensing when a lane is backed up and rerouting cars to ease the load. We're already seeing pilot programs with adaptive traffic lights in places like Los Angeles, London, and Barcelona. And the results? Reduced congestion, faster commutes, and, get this, a significant drop in greenhouse gas emissions. By cutting down on stop-and-go traffic, these systems reduce fuel consumption and make our streets a little less chaotic. These systems aren't perfect yet. They require substantial infrastructure investment and a lot of coordination, but they're showing real promise. And with more cities following suit, we're looking at a future where rush hour might not feel like a slow crawl through molasses. We might even save enough gas to make a dent in emissions. Think about that impact on a global scale. Electric and clean energy public transit. Next, let's talk about public transit. This is where the rubber meets the road, literally in terms of sustainability. Traditional buses and trains are major polluters, but cities worldwide are making the shift to electric or even hydrogen-powered fleets. Shenzhen, China, for instance, has converted its entire bus fleet, over 16,000 buses, to electric. Not only has this cut emissions, but it's also created a quieter, cleaner city environment. No more rumbling diesel engines filling the air with fumes. And the beauty of electric public transit isn't just environmental, it's economic too. Electric buses and trains have lower operational costs, require less maintenance, and don't rely on volatile fossil fuel prices. So cities investing in clean energy public transit aren't just thinking green, they're thinking long-term financial stability. And on a national security level, reducing dependence on oil-rich regions makes cities and nations more resilient and self-sufficient. Autonomous and shared mobility solutions. Now, let's go a step further with autonomous vehicles. Look, I know self-driving cars still feel like sci-fi, and yes, they're not without their own challenges and risks, but they have massive potential to reduce traffic and emissions. Imagine an urban center where people aren't sitting in traffic for hours, where autonomous buses know exactly when to stop based on demand, and where shared driverless taxis take cars off the road by efficiently routing multiple passengers in one vehicle. We're seeing autonomous public transit in test phases in places like Singapore and Helsinki, where autonomous shuttles are running predefined routes. If successful, these systems could scale up, and we could see a world where autonomous tech isn't just a luxury but a public utility. Now, there are concerns here, no doubt. Job displacement for drivers, data privacy issues, and the ethical dilemma of programming safety decisions. These are real challenges we'll need to address. But if cities and governments can work through these hurdles, autonomous vehicles could drastically cut down the number of cars on the road, reduce accidents, and lower emissions. The road ahead. So where does this all lead us? In short, toward a future where transportation in cities isn't just a necessary evil, but a streamlined, efficient system that enhances urban life. The potential upsides are huge, but so are the challenges. Implementing these systems is complex, expensive, and requires cooperation on an unprecedented level between public and private sectors. But here's the thing. If we pull it off, the impact on our cities, our environment, and our quality of life could be transformative. Let's turn our attention to the lifeblood of any city, energy. Think about it. Every light bulb, every air conditioner, every device plugged into the wall relies on power. But with urban areas already devouring over 2/3 of the world's energy and responsible for over 70% of CO2 emissions, something has to give. Cities around the globe are finally waking up to this reality and are shifting toward more sustainable, energy-efficient solutions that aren't just good for the planet, but for the people living there too. Renewable energy sources, powering up without draining the planet. Let's start with renewable energy. We're talking about solar panels on rooftops, wind farms on the outskirts, and even water turbines in city waterways. These renewable energy sources aren't just powering single buildings or city blocks. They're feeding back into the urban power grid. Cities like San Diego, California, and Frankfurt, Germany, are setting ambitious goals to rely on 100% renewable energy in the coming years. This shift isn't just a PR move, it's a practical one. Renewable sources reduce dependency on fossil fuels, which helps cities cut down on emissions and insulate themselves from the volatility of global energy markets. But it's not just about having the right technology in place. It's about location, too. In sunny places like Los Angeles, solar makes sense, while in coastal cities like Amsterdam, wind power is a natural fit. And for cities lucky enough to have waterways, hydroelectric power is on the table. By leveraging the strengths of their geography, cities can maximize efficiency, making renewable energy a more viable and sustainable option. Smart grids, making every watt count. Then there's the game changer, smart grids. A smart grid is a two-way electricity network that uses data to optimize how electricity is generated, distributed, and consumed. Imagine a city where power isn't just pumped out blindly, but is allocated based on real-time demand. If demand spikes in one area, the grid adjusts. If solar or wind production goes down, the system compensates. It's all about balance, efficiency, and cutting out waste. For example, cities like Chicago and Tokyo are investing in smart grid technology that allows them to monitor and respond to energy use in real time. The benefits? Fewer blackouts, less energy waste, and ultimately lower costs for both the city and its residents. Plus, with cities becoming less reliant on outside energy sources, they're building resilience against everything from geopolitical conflicts to natural disasters. Microgrids and decentralized power. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Microgrids. Unlike traditional grids, which are vast and centralized, microgrids are smaller, localized power systems that can operate independently. Think of them as backup generators, but on a much larger scale and far more advanced. In a pinch, microgrids can disconnect from the main power grid and keep a neighborhood or even a city district up and running. This feature makes them a powerful tool for emergency preparedness, national security, and urban resilience. For instance, Brooklyn, New York, has pioneered a local microgrid system that allows neighbors to sell solar energy to each other. The beauty here is in the independence. During major storms or citywide blackouts, these microgrids can keep the lights on in critical areas, from hospitals to emergency shelters. For cities, this means less reliance on a single energy source and the ability to bounce back faster in a crisis. Energy-efficient buildings, cutting consumption on a large scale. So what about the buildings themselves? After all, cities are made up of skyscrapers, apartment complexes, and offices, all guzzling electricity around the clock. Many cities are pushing for energy-efficient building designs that reduce the need for constant heating, cooling, and lighting. We're talking about everything from LED lighting to solar panels on rooftops and even self-shading glass that reduces the need for air conditioning. New York City's Empire State Building, for example, underwent a massive retrofit that cut its energy consumption by 38%, saving millions of dollars in energy costs every year. Imagine if every high-rise in a major city followed suit. These upgrades not only reduce the strain on the energy grid, but also cut down on emissions, making the air cleaner and the city greener. And as a bonus, energy-efficient buildings are often cheaper to maintain, meaning more money stays in the pockets of the people who live and work there. The road to energy independence. Now, all these changes add up to one significant goal: energy independence. A city that generates its own clean energy, manages it through smart grids, and conserves it with energy-efficient buildings isn't just sustainable, it's self-sufficient. And from a national security perspective, that's huge. An energy-independent city isn't held hostage by international oil prices or foreign supply chains. It's resilient, it's adaptable, and it's prepared for the unexpected. Of course, there are challenges. Renewable infrastructure is costly, and not every city has the political will or financial ability to make the leap. But for those that do, the long-term benefits, from cleaner air to economic savings to increased security, are undeniable. One of the most powerful tools shaping the cities of tomorrow. Data. Yes, data. The invisible web that connects every corner of a modern city, silently working to make our lives easier, safer, and more efficient. Urban planning has come a long way from grids and blueprints. Today, data is driving decisions, from where to put a park to how many buses should run on a certain route. And this isn't just a tech gimmick, it's redefining what makes a city livable. Real-time insights, the pulse of the city. Imagine a city that knows itself, not in some abstract way, but in real, quantifiable terms. In a data-driven city, sensors track traffic flow, air quality, noise levels, and even pedestrian foot traffic. This information gives city planners a real-time snapshot of what's happening on the ground. Got a neighborhood with too much traffic? The data will show it. Air quality issues? Pinpointed in seconds. This level of detail allows cities to make faster, smarter decisions that directly impact residents' quality of life. Take Singapore, for example. The city-state has implemented a Smart Nation program that integrates data from various sources to monitor everything from road congestion to healthcare needs. In Singapore, data isn't just used reactively, it's predictive. City officials can anticipate issues before they escalate and address them proactively. This is urban planning that's as responsive as the people it's designed to serve. Green space and livability, designing with people in mind. Now, data isn't just about controlling traffic or managing resources. It's about designing spaces that people actually enjoy. Cities are using data to optimize the placement of parks, walking paths, and public spaces. Think about it. Data can show which neighborhoods have limited access to green spaces or which areas are hotspots for pedestrian traffic. Armed with this information, planners can design urban spaces that aren't just functional, but pleasant and healthy. For instance, Barcelona has pioneered the concept of superblocks, essentially mini neighborhoods that prioritize pedestrians over vehicles. Data showed that certain areas had high pedestrian traffic and air pollution, so city planners turned these areas into pedestrian-friendly zones with parks, benches, and bike paths. The result? Cleaner air, quieter streets, and a boost in local business traffic. This kind of urban design doesn't just make a city more sustainable, it makes it more enjoyable for the people who live there. Responsive public services, meeting needs as they arise. A data-driven city is a responsive city. Imagine if your city could predict when public transportation will be busiest and adjust schedules in real time. Or if emergency services could deploy resources based on predictive models rather than simply reacting to crises. This isn't hypothetical. Cities like Chicago and Amsterdam are already using data to enhance public services. In Chicago, for example, data-driven algorithms help allocate police resources based on crime patterns, allowing for quicker response times in high-risk areas. Meanwhile, Amsterdam has developed a program that collects data from public transportation to adapt routes and schedules based on usage. This ensures that resources are used efficiently, that overcrowding is minimized, and that residents' needs are met as they arise. This isn't about Big Brother watching you. It's about a city watching over itself to improve the quality of life for everyone. The goal here is efficiency and adaptability. Two things that are essential for a city trying to keep pace with rapid urbanization and resource limitations. Predictive maintenance, stopping problems before they start. One of the biggest benefits of a data-driven city is predictive maintenance. Rather than waiting for things to break down, whether it's a bridge, a subway line, or a water main, data can be used to predict when maintenance is needed, saving time, money, and avoiding disruptions. This kind of proactive care is huge for sustainability. Imagine if a city's infrastructure could self-monitor, alerting maintenance teams to issues before they become expensive problems. Cities like Los Angeles are using data analytics to keep their infrastructure running smoothly. By monitoring road conditions, water pipes, and electrical grids, the city can schedule repairs before breakdowns occur. This not only reduces costs, but also minimizes the environmental impact of emergency repairs and extends the life of the infrastructure itself. Balancing privacy and progress. Of course, we can't talk about data-driven cities without addressing the elephant in the room: privacy. Collecting data on such a massive scale raises concerns about surveillance, personal privacy, and data security. Residents rightfully wonder, who has access to my data and how is it being used? Balancing the benefits of data-driven urban planning with the need to protect individual privacy is a critical challenge. Some cities are tackling this head-on. In places like Toronto, citizen data is anonymized and regulated by third parties to ensure privacy. And in Europe, where data privacy regulations are strict, cities are finding creative ways to leverage data without infringing on personal privacy. This approach ensures that urban innovation doesn't come at the cost of individual rights, and it helps build trust between the city and its residents. The blueprint for the future. So what's the big takeaway? Data-driven urban planning is setting the blueprint for cities that are not only sustainable, but also incredibly adaptive to change. By using data to make decisions, cities can address problems faster, design spaces that foster well-being, and create systems that respond to residents' needs in real time. Yes, there are challenges: privacy concerns, the cost of infrastructure, and the risk of over-reliance on tech. But the potential for creating cities that work with their residents rather than just around them is worth the effort. It's time to get real. Let's look at some cities that are actually doing this stuff, the ones that have become models of sustainable innovation. But we're not just here to applaud success. We'll also dig into the challenges and lessons learned, because, as with anything worth doing, sustainable urban development isn't without its hurdles. Copenhagen, Denmark, a model of renewable energy. First up, let's head to Copenhagen, Denmark, often hailed as one of the greenest cities in the world. Copenhagen has made some bold moves toward becoming carbon neutral by 2025, and they're well on their way. The city relies heavily on wind energy, which is abundant in Denmark, and has built an extensive bike infrastructure that sees over 62% of its residents commuting by bike daily. Yes, you heard that right. Over half the city hops on a bike rather than into a car. But it's not all smooth sailing. Denmark's high investment in wind power and other renewables has come with a price tag, and it's something that cities with smaller budgets might struggle to replicate. Moreover, the city has had to overcome significant logistical challenges to integrate renewable energy into its grid, which isn't always as reliable as fossil fuels. Still, Copenhagen has shown that with commitment, cities can lead the way in renewable energy. The takeaway here? Renewable energy is achievable on a large scale, but it requires both financial commitment and a willingness to adapt to new challenges. And as Copenhagen has demonstrated, sustainability can become a part of a city's culture, inspiring residents to play an active role in reducing their carbon footprint. Singapore, a data-driven smart nation. Next, let's travel to Singapore, where the concept of a smart nation isn't just a buzzword, it's a reality. Singapore has invested heavily in data-driven systems to manage everything from traffic to public services. The City State's Smart Nation initiative is a comprehensive approach that integrates sensors, data analytics, and AI to optimize daily life. This includes real-time traffic monitoring, smart lighting systems, and even smart bins that notify waste collectors when they're full. It's like the city has a digital nervous system that helps it function smoothly and efficiently. However, Singapore's data-driven approach has raised privacy concerns. While the government insists that data is handled responsibly, the level of surveillance required for such a system can feel invasive to some residents. There's also the risk of over-reliance on technology. When everything's connected, a single failure or breach could disrupt multiple services at once. But for Singapore, the benefits, like reduced congestion, improved resource management, and faster public services, outweigh the downsides. Singapore's story underscores the potential and challenges of data-driven urban planning. It's a lesson in the delicate balance between innovation and privacy, and a reminder that smart cities must consider how their tech impacts the people living within their systems. Amsterdam, Netherlands, the push for circular economy. Amsterdam is taking a unique approach to urban sustainability with its push toward the circular economy. In simple terms, this means designing systems where waste is minimized and resources are continuously reused. Think of it like a giant recycling loop that powers the whole city. Amsterdam has implemented initiatives like turning organic waste into biofuel and promoting green roofs that provide insulation and reduce stormwater runoff. The challenge Amsterdam faces is one that many cities will have to confront: getting citizens and businesses on board with a new way of thinking about consumption and waste. Moving from a traditional economy where things are used and discarded to a circular economy requires a cultural shift. People need to think differently about what they buy, use, and throw away. And while Amsterdam has made incredible strides, they're still navigating the complexities of scaling these efforts across an entire urban population. Amsterdam shows us that sustainability isn't just about technology, it's about changing mindsets. Building a circular economy in a city means reimagining how we think about resources, and it's a challenge that requires patience, education, and community buy-in. New York City, USA, the challenge of scale. Let's bring it closer to home with New York City, a place where size alone presents a unique set of challenges. As one of the most populated cities in the world, New York has been making moves toward becoming more sustainable. The city's Climate Mobilization Act aims to cut emissions from large buildings by 40% by 2030, focusing on retrofitting older buildings to meet higher energy standards. But New York faces a distinct challenge: scale. Unlike smaller, more manageable cities, New York's sheer size makes even small changes a monumental task. Retrofitting old buildings is costly and time-consuming, and getting every property owner on board isn't easy. Plus, the city's complex bureaucracy can slow down progress. However, if New York can pull it off, it'll set a powerful example for other megacities around the world. New York's journey highlights the logistical and financial challenges of scaling sustainable initiatives in massive urban environments. But if it can overcome these hurdles, it proves that sustainability is possible even in the world's largest cities. Medellin, Colombia, transforming through innovation and inclusion. Our final case takes us to Medellin, Colombia, a city that's undergone a radical transformation. Once infamous for its crime and violence, Medellin has become a symbol of urban innovation and resilience. The city introduced cable cars as public transport to connect underserved neighborhoods to the city center, implemented green corridors to reduce air pollution, and developed educational parks that serve as community spaces. Medellin's story is one of inclusivity. The city's leaders recognized that for sustainable changes to stick, they had to benefit all residents, not just the affluent. By bringing underserved communities into the fold, Medellin not only improved its environmental impact, but also uplifted its residents, creating a safer, more united city. The challenge Medellin faced was skepticism. Many residents initially viewed the projects as government overreach or doubted they would benefit their neighborhoods. But through persistence and community engagement, Medellin's leaders built trust, proving that sustainable urban development can address social inequalities and environmental goals simultaneously. Medellin teaches us that sustainable urban innovation must be inclusive. It's not just about clean energy or efficient transit. It's about creating opportunities for everyone, fostering a sense of community, and building a city that serves all its people. Final thoughts on the global sustainable city movement. So, what's the big picture? These case studies show us that while sustainable cities are achievable, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. Each city's path is shaped by its unique challenges, resources, and culture. Copenhagen's renewable energy success, Singapore's data-driven efficiency, Amsterdam's circular economy push, New York's scale challenges, and Medellin's inclusive transformation all reveal different approaches to urban sustainability. The common thread? Commitment. Whether it's government, businesses, or residents, everyone plays a role in building cities that can stand the test of time. And while there are no easy solutions, the progress these cities have made is proof that sustainable urban living isn't just a dream. It's a tangible, achievable goal. That brings us to the end of today's journey through sustainable cities and the incredible innovations shaping urban life around the globe. We've seen how cities like Copenhagen, Singapore, Amsterdam, New York, and Medellin are pushing boundaries, rethinking everything from transportation to energy, and even the very structure of their economies. Each of these cities is proving that a more sustainable future isn't just possible. It's within reach. So what can we do? It's easy to feel like city planning and sustainability are issues for the powers that be. But remember, change often starts with individuals like us. We can advocate for smart policies in our local communities, support green businesses, reduce our energy consumption, and rethink how we move around. Every small step adds up, and together we have the power to build cities that aren't just livable, but resilient and ready for the future. As always, if you enjoyed this episode of Full Spectrum Frontiers, please like, share, and drop a review wherever you're listening. Your support keeps this mission alive and helps spread the word on topics that matter for all of us. And if you've got thoughts, ideas, or stories to share on sustainable cities or anything else on the full spectrum of conflict and national security, reach out. Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, stay curious, stay committed, and let's keep pushing toward a future we can all be proud of. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Full Spectrum Frontiers.
It's just you, me, and the odds. We stuck together, we two peas in a pod. You dealt a bad hand, I'm there seizing the cards. We'll never be separated till we seeing the gods. We've been low together, high forever. Long as we go together, we'll die whenever. Be a light, couldn't let the darkness try you ever. Truth in my word, you I lie to never. And when the world gets a little too hard, wipe your eyes, put away your sorrow. When it's war, I'll be leading the charge, and I'll be still fighting for you tomorrow. Yeah, even with a blindfold or in different time zones, could find my way to you with my eyes closed. There's nothing between us. Go to Mars or Venus, stand in front of every one of them rocks they slinging and being shit. Yeah. In the fiercest battle, I'll defend you from all these arrows in the sword. I will keep you from danger.
it out. I scratch my